So in the end of Bleach, Ichigo uses his Bankai in the final battle against Yhwach, but out of all of Ichigo's attempts at defeating him, Yhwach felt the need to use the Almighty to immediately break his Bankai. But everything else that Ichigo has thrown at him barely affects him, as Yhwach can always recover from it with either stronger spiritual pressure or using the Almighty. So why did he feel the need to destroy Ichigo's Bankai right off the bat, if it's just a stat buff, just like his merged hollow form that he used against him? We know that Ichigo's Shikai and Bankai both revolve around the ability of amplifying Reiatsu. His Shikai projects amplified Reiatsu, and his Bankai amplifies his Reiatsu in general. And this is clearly the case with his true Bankai as well, because he was able to one-shot Yhwach with a single Getsuga Tensho. But Yhwach displayed the ability to revive himself using the Almighty, so what does he have to lose if Ichigo's Bankai did kill him during his fight in Warwell? We can see that he was clearly trying to get Ichigo to use all of his powers so that he could bring them down and bring him to despair. So why would he cut this one off? Now my theory is that Ichigo's Bankai is a power that counters or is far superior than Yhwach's Almighty, and that his Bankai, its true ability aside from the ability to bump up his spiritual pressure, is to deny fate. This is a common theory among Bleach fans, and I know that denying the grinding gears of fate is a major jump from being able to amplify spiritual pressure, but Shikai and Bankai can revolve around the same concept but have different approaches to it. You have Unohana's Shikai, which heals people within its stomach using its acid, but her Bankai produces blood around her and the opponent to harm the enemy and heal her so that she can keep on fighting. So her toolkit could be seen as the extension of a battle via healing. Shinji's Shikai inverts the senses, but his Bankai inverts a sense of camaraderie, so his toolkit is more based on the inversion of his enemy's reality. And you know, the 1000-Year Blood War arc is introducing more complex hacks abilities like the Miracle, the Death Dealing, the X-Axis, all those kind of abilities. It's way more of a jump than previous arcs, so it can't be much of a stretch to say that Ichigo can't make such a jump in terms of his powers. And you know, his whole journey throughout Bleach is just a jump to power due to him being a fusion of all soul types. There's this Japanese proverb about three faces, the three faces theory. The first face is the persona you show to the world. The second is the persona you show to those closer to you, which is only partially real. And the third face is the reflection of your authentic self. Now, I don't know if Kubo was intending for the concept of Shikai and Bankai to match this theory, but I like to imagine so to support this theory, and it kind of matches if you think about it. It's really plausible. The sealed state of a Zanpakuto is the first face, you know, the regular katana form. The Shikai state is the second face, and the Bankai state is the third and true face. That's because Zanpakuto is expressed as being an extension of you. It's your own essence imprinted onto a sword. So the spirit within the sword is essentially you. And if we go back to chapter 25 of the manga, after Ichigo's fight with Grand Fisher, he's telling Rukia, one of his closest friends, that he wants to get stronger to protect people from the hollows, and that's his primary goal. So because he's expressing this to a close friend, that's the Shikai ability. The ability to just protect his friends simply by releasing his strength out. And if we refer to chapter 205.1 of Bleach, Ichigo is thinking about how much he hates his powerlessness, as shown when a ghost he saw earlier disappears when he promised to visit it, and he displays signs of low self-confidence throughout the story in regards to his ability to protect others and to win the fight in order to protect them. And in this chapter he is mentioning that he wishes for strength, and that's why his true and his false Bankai both have the ability to bump up his spiritual pressure and act as a stat boost. But at the very end of this chapter, Ichigo says that if he can't protect others from the Millstone of Fate, then he wants a blade powerful enough to shatter it. And the fact that this is something said once in the story, and in Ichigo's head of all places, he doesn't say this out loud. It's all him reflecting, it goes to show that this is the third face which he doesn't show to anyone, and that's exactly what Bankai represents. And we all know that Ichigo tends to lose to an enemy, then comes back to fight them another time with double the determination and strength he had before, and he always ends up defeating them. And it just goes to show how dead set he is when it comes to shattering the fate that awaits him and those he cares for if he doesn't fight. And in every one of those victories, he is always in this false Bankai. Now, outside of narrative proofs, I have a few other proofs portrayed in the final battle of Bleach. In the final battle against yhwach, Uryu fired the still silver arrow, and that was able to cancel out yhwach's powers for 3 seconds, and that would include the Almighty, which would give Ichigo the perfect chance to kill yhwach without using the Almighty to come back. But Uryu notices that Ichigo won't be able to make it in time to kill yhwach, and we can see here when yhwach tries to stop Ichigo's blade, the Soul King's spiritual pressure that was swirling around yhwach's body is returning around him even after the arrow, meaning that he regained his powers in after the period, but he only breaks the outer shell of Ichigo's Bankai, which reveals his original sword, his original Shikai underneath. And the Almighty is this ability that is like the epitome of predetermination, altering the future to an outcome that benefits yhwach. So he's basically just fate itself, and since yhwach is Ichigo's enemy, he's the ultimate adversary that he needs to shatter, that being fate. And it's why Ichigo is able to cut through him like butter one last time and absolutely end him without him being able to come back from it. And it's why yhwach felt the need to destroy Ichigo's Bankai the second he released it, before it could even release its true power. This part may be a little bit of a reach, but if you believe that, if you believe everything that I've listed before, if you believe this theory, then you could interpret Kazui destroying the remnants of yhwach's power as Ichigo's denial of fate still lingering 10 years later. But that could be it's definitely a reach, but who's to say it's not within our grasp. And anyways, those are all the reasons I believe Ichigo's Bankai has the power to shatter fate alongside his spiritual pressure buff. So what are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Could you add on, or do you disagree and have another idea on what his Bankai could do? I'd really appreciate it if you left it in the comments, like if you enjoyed the video, and I'd especially appreciate it if you subscribed. And I'll see you guys later, and have a great day.